How would you feel if you walked into a job interview and your tie looked like this? How do you think your supervisor or whoever's interviewing you would feel about that? Well, in my opinion, I really don't think that your interview would work out very well at all. It looks like someone needs to learn how to tie a tie correctly. From the data I've collected from my surveys, more than 75% of you have had to tie a tie or at least attempt to tie a tie sometime in your life. But only half of you rated yourself a 1 or a 2 on a scale of 10 of how well you could tie a tie. 3/4 of you didn't even know the name of the knot that they used. You just said that you knew how to tie a tie. With my experience in business due to DECA and all of my other organizations, I've learned that tying your tie correctly and looking nice is very important in the business world. And even in Times Magazine, they've talked about multiple times over so many years how important looking well in business is to your career. I'm going to teach you the basics of tying the forehand, the Windsor, the half Windsor, and the Pratt knots. Knowing how to tie these correctly will really help you dress for success. First knot I'm going to show you is the forehand. It's the most utilized type of knot just because it's simple and easy for almost anyone to learn. The first step is make sure that your wide end of your tie is about 12 inches lower than your narrow end. You cross the wide end over the narrow end. You bring it back behind the narrow end. Put your fingers to hold where the tie is crossed to create a bridge, and you bring the wide end over once more. Then you bring it through the loop between your neck and the knot, and then down through that bridge that you formed with your hand so that it goes through, and then you tighten the knot with both hands, making sure that it goes up and looks nice and neat. Usually you'd be doing this in the mirror because you want to make sure that it looks good. Normally I'd be doing it with my collar up and with the button here, but my button's really tight and it makes it hard for me to talk. So that's how you do the forehand knot. The second knot I'm going to teach you is the Windsor knot. It's a triangular knot. It's supposed to be used to boost confidence, so it'd be good to use it in a meeting or an interview type setting, and it's best with a spread collar shirt. So the first step is you keep it set up like the last knot, like the forehand, with the wide end like a foot below the narrow end. You cross the wide end over the narrow end, and then you bring it straight through the hole between your neck and the knot. The next thing you do is you bring it back behind the narrow end, and then through the loop once more. Once you do that, you pull it to the right, make the bridge with your finger again, cross it over, and then up and through, just like you finished the last knot. And that's how most of these knots will finish up, because it makes that shape, the knot shape. So then you tighten it with both hands, make sure it looks nice and neat, and there you have the Windsor knot. The next knot that I'm going to show is the half Windsor. It's a variation of the last knot I showed you, the Windsor. And it's better for any type of dress shirt, not just the spread collar. So if you don't have a spread collar shirt, then maybe the half Windsor would be better. And it's much simpler. What you do is you start just the same with the wide end 12 inches below the narrow end. You cross the wide end over the narrow end, bring it back behind the narrow end. You pull it up and through the loop, and then bring it to the right. Then you form that bridge again with your right hand over and up through the neck loop again, and then down through the front loop that you made with the bridge, just like the other knots. And you pull it tight with both hands. Check it in the mirror, make sure it looks nice and neat. Because you don't want to go into the business world looking bad, because people will be making fun of you and you won't even know what's going on. Okay, the last knot that I'm going to show you is the Pratt knot. It's a little bit different because it starts backwards. You keep it tied inside out. The Pratt knot was invented by Jerry Pratt and became very popular during the 1920s. Okay, like I said, you set it up just the same, 12 inches with the wide end below the narrow end, but inside out. You bring the wide end back behind the narrow end. You pull it through the loop and pull that tight. And then you bring it all the way over to the right. Make sure that it covers this knot and it'll help make the shape. Then you reach in the hole between your neck and the knot, pull it through, and then you pull it through the hole in front so that it makes the knot shape. And this one's a little bit of a tighter knot, and as you can see, it's better for different occasions. Like, it just depends on what you think looks best with each shirt and each tie. And that's how you do the Pratt knot. These 4 knots are only a small amount of all the knots that you can pick to use. And hopefully these sparked your interest in all these different types of knots. And maybe you'll go out, try and learn some more, learn some exotic knots, and make people question what you're wearing. And in this world, you always want to look nice. But with a little practice, you can change the world. One neatly tied tie at a time.
Time.